time is more fair than money, it gives every person 24 hours. But what you do with those hours, that's what separates the rich from the restless, the builders from the borrowers, the fulfilled from the frustrated. You see, life doesn't reward effort alone. It rewards effective effort, purposeful direction, and disciplined use of time. Now, we all get the same allotment, 1,440 minutes a day. But the truth is, most people don't spend time, they spend their future. They trade it for distractions, for comfort, for ease. And when the years pass, they wonder why wealth never came knocking. Let me tell you something I learned early on. How you spend your hours is how you build your life. You don't find success, you schedule it. You don't discover wealth, you design it. One decision, one focused block of time at a time. So today I want to ask you, not just what are you doing with your time, but who are you becoming with your time? Because that's the question that determines everything. Let's get into it. When the morning begins, so does your destiny. The first hour of your day holds more power than most people give it credit for. It's not just another part of the day, it's the foundation. And if the foundation is cracked, don't be surprised when the structure falls. Most people wake up and start reacting. They reach for their phone, check notifications, scroll through what the world is doing, and they wonder why their life feels scattered. But the wealthy, the intentional, they wake up and begin with design, not reaction. I learned this lesson when I was young and broke. I used to roll out of bed just in time to rush to wherever I needed to be. I'd arrive physically, but mentally I was foggy. No plan, no clarity, just movement. That kind of living doesn't lead to wealth, it leads to survival. And I made a decision one day, no more. I started waking up 30 minutes earlier. Not for the sake of waking up early, but to use that time with intention. Here's what happens when you start your day with purpose. You take control. Instead of the world pulling you in 10 different directions, you decide where your energy goes. The first thing I do is sit in silence for a moment and just think. Think about where I was, where I wanted to go, and what I had to do that day to close that gap. I'd review my goals, not just read them, but visualize them. I'd ask myself, what's one thing I can do today that moves me toward this? Sometimes it was a phone call I'd been putting off. Sometimes it was reading, sometimes writing, sometimes saving a little more than I spent the day before. The point is, I had a direction. I also started reviewing my finances each morning, not in a fearful way, but in a strategic way. If wealth is the goal, then money must be measured. What you measure, you can improve. I'd ask, where did my money go yesterday? Where will I direct it today? Most people ignore money until it becomes a problem. But the wealthy, they treat it like a partner. They check in with it. They manage it. That kind of discipline starts in the morning. And when I say wake up earlier, I don't mean jump into chaos. I mean take quiet command of your day before the noise begins. If you can't find 30 minutes in the morning for yourself, you're already giving your time away to everyone else. Wealth builders don't stumble into their day, they prepare for it like a farmer prepares his soil. The morning hours are the seed time. And you know what they say about seeds? What you plant, you harvest. So if you plant discipline, clarity, and vision in the morning, don't be surprised when you harvest wealth, success, and peace. And that's the real beginning of building wealth by first learning to master your morning. If someone asked you what the most valuable appointment on your calendar is, what would you say? A business meeting? A sales call? Lunch with a potential client? Let me tell you something that changed my life. The most valuable appointment you can make each day is with your own thinking. Quiet, uninterrupted, intentional thinking. Because your thoughts are architects, they design your actions. And your actions shape your future. And yet, most people give more time to scrolling their phone than they give to sharpening their mind. I started blocking off 30 minutes each day, no distractions, no noise, just me and a notebook. Not to react, not to consume more, but to think deeply, strategically, honestly. I'd sit and ask myself, is what I'm doing today going to take me where I want to go? I'd reflect on my decisions, my habits, the people I was allowing into my world. I'd think about my finances, not just emotionally, but strategically. What's working, what's not, what needs to change. And I'll tell you, those quiet thinking sessions made me more money than any loud hustle ever could. That's where clarity was born. That's where vision sharpened. That's where I saw that I didn't have a money problem, I had a direction problem. And once you realize that, your whole approach changes. Wealthy people don't just act, they think before they act. They take time to reflect, plan, and make their next move with precision. They guard their mental energy like treasure, because it is. I remember meeting a man who made more in a day than I used to make in a month. I asked him what changed things for him. He said, "I stopped thinking like a worker and started thinking like an owner, but I had to think first." Now let me ask you, when's the last time you sat with your own thoughts without distraction and evaluated your life like it was a business? Most people don't want to look under the hood. They'd rather stay busy than get honest. But here's the truth. Distraction is expensive, and confusion is the enemy of success. You need clarity. You need alignment. You need to ask, where am I wasting time, money, or energy? You won't find that answer while running only when you stop and think. So make it a daily habit. Schedule thinking time like a sacred appointment. Treat it with the same respect you'd give a meeting with a millionaire mentor, because in those quiet moments you become your own. Write down your insights. Make one small decision each day from that space. Stack those clear choices, and you'll build something extraordinary. You can't build wealth with a noisy mind. Silence creates vision, and vision creates movement in the right direction. So protect your thinking time like your future depends on it, because it does. One of the biggest breakthroughs I ever had in life and business came when I stopped treating all tasks as equal, because they're not. Most people spend their time reacting to everything that comes their way. Emails, phone calls, errands, distractions, like it all matters the same. But here's a truth that turned my productivity and income upside down. Not everything deserves your time. In fact, only a small fraction of what you do each day creates the majority of your results. That's the 80-20th rule. Roughly 20% of your actions are responsible for 80% of your outcomes. The key is finding those high-impact actions and multiplying them. That's what separates those who stay busy from those who become wealthy. I remember years ago, I was working hard, putting in the hours, saying yes to everything, but my income had flatlined. Then someone said to me, "Why don't you track which activities are actually making you money?" So I did, and I discovered something fascinating. Only a few things I did really moved the needle. The rest, just noise. So I got serious. I looked at my calendar and cut what wasn't working. I delegated what didn't need my hands, and I doubled down on the few key things like connecting with clients, refining my presentations, and learning how to sell better. Those were my 20%. When I focused there, my results didn't just increase, they multiplied. And that's the power of focused energy. You can water a field with a sprinkler and get a little wet soil, or you can take the same water and use a pressure washer and move mountains. Same resource, different intensity. When you apply focus to the right actions, time expands. You stop spinning your wheels and start gaining traction. This applies not only to money, but to every part of your life. Relationships, health, skill building, each area has its own 20%, but you've got to pause long enough to identify it. Look back on the past 30 days. What brought you closer to your goals? What drained you? What produced the highest return on your time, energy, and attention? Write it down. You'll see a pattern. Then have the courage to act on it. And remember, eliminating low-value activities isn't laziness. It's wisdom. It's leadership. You're the CEO of your life. If a business kept investing in what wasn't profitable, it would collapse. The same goes for your time. Don't just be a hard worker, be a wise worker. When you start protecting your time like the asset it is, and pouring it into the few things that generate real returns, everything changes. Wealth isn't built by doing more, it's built by doing more of what works. So apply the 80-20th rule with urgency. Let go of the trivial. Focus on the vital. That's how you make your 24 hours pay dividends for life. One of the greatest shifts in my life happened when I stopped letting the world decide how my day would begin. I used to wake up and dive right into task-checking messages, rushing to appointments, reacting to everything. And while it felt productive, it wasn't powerful. I was moving, yes, but I wasn't growing. Then I learned something that changed my whole approach to the day. Your first hour sets the tone for everything that follows. And if you give that golden hour to everyone else's priorities, don't be surprised if you feel like a stranger in your own life. That first hour in the morning when your mind is fresh and your spirit is still quiet, that's sacred time. That's the time to invest in you. Not the to-do list, not the emails, not the noise of the world, but the quiet building of the person you're becoming. I began waking up just 30 minutes earlier, then extended it to an hour. And I didn't use it to work, I used it to grow. I'd start with a journal, writing down my goals. Not just once a year, but every day. Not because the goals changed, but because I needed the reminder. Writing gave me clarity. It reminded me why I was doing what I was doing. Then I'd read or listen to something, educational something, that challenged the way I thought, that elevated my mindset. Sometimes it was a book on wealth. Other times it was a story of someone who overcame great odds. Either way, I was feeding my mind before the world could feed it junk. You see, most people spend the first hour of their day reacting, scrolling, checking, rushing. But reaction is not creation. If you want to build wealth, you must start the day creating the version of you who's capable of earning it. And that starts in the mind. Because money is a result, not a cause. It's the byproduct of value, and you can't give more value to the world if you're not growing yourself first. Think of the first hour as your personal development bank. Every book you read, every goal you write, every moment of reflection, it's all a deposit. Over time, that account grows. And just like compound interest, the longer you do it, the greater the return. What seems small 10 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of journaling accumulates. And before you know it, you become someone others want to follow, trust, and pay. So don't waste that precious first hour on the chaos of the world. Use it to build the calm, strong, visionary version of yourself. Because that version, that focused, intentional version is the one who creates wealth, not just earns it. Give yourself that hour. Guard it like gold, because that's exactly what it becomes. There's a simple truth most people ignore. If you don't run your day will run you. And if your day runs you, so does your future. I used to think wealth was mostly about knowledge, knowing how money works, how investing works, how business works. But I learned something even more valuable. Wealth is mostly about how you use your time. And not just casually, but deliberately, strategically, with the same intensity you would give to managing $1 million portfolio. Because in truth, your time is your portfolio, and how you invest it determines the return on your life. I started treating my calendar like a blueprint for my wealth. I wasn't just filling it with things to do. I began filling it with wealth-building behaviors. I'd block out time to review my investments. Not weekly, daily, just 15 minutes, maybe 20, but it was on the calendar. I'd schedule time to track my spending, look at my net worth, think about where my money was going and whether it was buying assets or just more stuff. And every single day, I carved out time, just a small window to research new income streams. Not dream about them, research them. Take notes, compare options, consider what aligned with my skills and values. See, most people have a calendar full of errands, tasks, and meetings. The successful, their calendar is full of decisions that multiply their future. You don't build wealth by accident. You build it by showing up to your own future on purpose. And here's the trick. You don't have to block out 3 hours. Just block out some time. Even if it's 10 minutes before bed. If it's not scheduled, it's not real. You say you want to build wealth? Then show me on your calendar. That's where your future lives. Show me where your growth lives. Show me where your money review happened. If you wouldn't skip a meeting with your boss, why would you skip the meeting with the architect of your own success? You want to change your financial life? Start budgeting your hours with the same discipline you wish you had with your dollars. Because where your time goes, your results will follow. Most people are trying to squeeze growth into the cracks of their life. But you can't grow a mighty oak in the cracks. You need soil, you need space, and you need to plant on purpose. So, from this moment forward, block time for wealth. Treat your calendar like your most valuable asset, because that's exactly what it is. I remember the day it clicked. I was sitting in traffic listening to a talk radio station that was going nowhere fast, just complaints, gossip, and noise. And I thought, what am I doing? I've got this pocket of time uninterrupted, routine end, I'm throwing it away like it's worthless. That day I made a simple shift. I started turning idle time into growth time. And that single decision compounded more than I could have ever imagined. Here's the truth. We all have dead zones in our day. Waiting rooms, checkout lines, commutes, walking the dog, even standing at the kitchen counter while the coffee brews. These moments might seem small, but they're not meaningless. They're opportunities in disguised pockets of time that can either slip by unnoticed or be turned into investments. Wealthy people see these as golden opportunities to grow their mind. Most others see them as gaps to fill with distraction. The next time you're in the car, don't just flip on the music out of habit, put on an audiobook about finance, negotiation, leadership, or mindset. Every chapter you absorb is a step forward. When you're waiting in line, resist the urge to scroll social media and instead read an article about wealth building strategies or listen to a quick podcast. It might not seem like much, but let me tell you, 10 minutes a day of focused learning adds up to over 60 hours a year. That's a full-time week of training just from the in-between spaces of life. The person who makes the best use of their downtime always outpaces the person who waits for the perfect time to learn. And I'll tell you something else. There's no such thing as perfect time. The perfect time is found, not granted. You don't need to overhaul your schedule to build wealth. You need to upgrade your habits inside the schedule you already have. When I first began applying this, I'd jot down one idea I learned from each piece of content I consumed during idle time. One insight, one action. I didn't always apply it that day, but it trained my mind to think in return on investment. I wasn't just passing time, I was multiplying it. Most people waste hours every week without even realizing it. But the wealthy, they reclaim those moments. They know success is built not just during the big decisions, but in how they treat the small ones. They understand that the seeds of transformation are planted during those idle gaps that others ignore. So the next time you find yourself with 10 minutes to spare, don't ask, how do I kill this time? Ask, how can I grow with it? Because in the end, you don't just build wealth with your hours, you build it with your habits inside those hours. I've learned over the years that you become the average of the people you spend the most time with. It's a simple truth, but one that's easy to overlook when life gets busy. Your conversations, your company, they act like seeds planted in your mind. Some seeds grow into fruitful trees, others become choking weeds. The question is, what kind of seeds are you watering day after day? I remember when I was just starting out, I spent a lot of time around folks who were always complaining about their jobs, their money, their circumstances. At the time, I thought their words were just harmless venting. But slowly I began to notice how their negativity was rubbing off on me. I found myself doubting my own potential, shrinking my dreams, and delaying my actions. It wasn't until I made a conscious decision to audit my circle that things started to shift. You see, time is your most precious resource. Every minute you spend listening to complaints or skepticism is a minute you could be investing in inspiration and growth. That doesn't mean you cut people out cold, but you do need to protect your mental space like you protect your bank account. The wealthy don't waste time on conversations that don't move them forward. They seek out those who challenge them, who think bigger, who inspire them to take action. Spend more time with readers, learners, doers, and believers in growth. Join groups or communities where the focus is on building, creating, and achieving. These are the people who sharpen your thinking, who offer new perspectives, and who motivate you to push beyond your limits. You don't have to go it alone, but you do need to choose your companions wisely. It's not just about avoiding negativity, it's about surrounding yourself with energy that fuels your ambition. When you do that, your circle becomes a powerful engine driving you toward your goals. Remember, your future is too valuable to be dulled by those who aren't moving in the same direction. Choose your company like you. Choose your investments carefully and with purpose. One of the most overlooked secrets to building wealth isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. In fact, the difference between those who struggle and those who succeed often comes down to how they manage the small, repetitive tasks that consume their time. You've got to learn to batch and automate the low-value tasks in your day, because your prime hours belong to activities that actually move the needle. I remember early on in my career, I used to get caught up in running errands, answering every email as it came, and handling every little detail personally. It felt like I was busy all day, but when I look back, I realized much of that busyness didn't build wealth. It drained my energy and stole precious time from my creative and productive hours. The solution came when I started batching similar tasks together. Instead of checking emails every few minutes, I dedicated a specific block of time to process them. Instead of running errands randomly, I grouped them into 1 or 2 trips. This simple change freed up hours I never thought I had. Beyond batching, automation became my best friend. I set up automatic bill payments, automated my savings with a portion of every paycheck moving straight into investments before I even saw it. This took decision fatigue out of the equation and ensured that important tasks were done consistently without me having to think twice. Systems like these protect your most valuable resource, your time, and allow you to focus your peak hours on what truly matters: creating, learning, connecting, and selling. The wealthy don't waste their energy on mundane tasks because they understand that systems save time, and time saved is wealth gained. Once you get serious about batching and automating low-value tasks, you create space for high-value work where the real growth happens. Start small, build your system, and watch how your productivity soars and your wealth follows. It's not magic, it's disciplined time management. There's a truth that's often overlooked in the race for wealth. It's not about how many things you try to learn, but about mastering one high-value skill that sets you apart. Early in my journey, I realized that dabbling here and there didn't move the needle. But when I focused on mastering one skill, whether it was public speaking, negotiation, or investing, that's when doors started opening. Competence is magnetic, and wealth is drawn to those who bring unique value to the table. Think about it. How many people do you know who spread themselves thin, trying to be good at everything but great at nothing? The result is frustration and stagnation. But when you invest just 30 focused minutes a day into one skill that the market demands, you're building something powerful. That daily commitment compounds. In a year's time, you won't just be competent, you'll be sought after. Your confidence grows, your reputation builds, and your income naturally follows. I remember a time when I dedicated myself to improving my speaking skills. I practiced relentlessly, studied others, and sought feedback. Slowly, opportunities came: speaking engagements, consulting requests, new business ventures. That skill became a cornerstone of my success, and it can be the same for you. Use your spare timeno for distractions, but to become irreplaceable. The marketplace rewards those who bring mastery and focus. Don't just work hard, work smart, and let your skills attract the wealth and success you deserve. Every evening, before you let the day slip away, take a momentous, simple 10 minutes to look back and ask yourself 2 critical questions. What did I do today that moved me closer to building my wealth? And what actions or distractions pulled me away from that goal? It might sound small, but this daily habit of reflection is the compass that keeps you on course, preventing weeks or even months of drifting without direction. In my own life, I learned the hard way how easy it is to get caught up in busy work, to feel like I was making progress when in reality, I was just spinning my wheels. It wasn't until I started this practice of daily review that I realized how often I was allowing time to slip through my fingers on low-value tasks or worries that didn't serve me. That simple awareness sparked change. I began to adjust, refining my approach, cutting out what didn't work and doubling down on what did. The difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who struggle isn't luck or talent, it's a willingness to learn and adapt. The wealthy aren't perfect, they simply refuse to repeat mistakes. They refine their process relentlessly. So tonight, commit to this. End each day with reflection. Let it be your anchor, your guide, and your power to grow. The path to success is found in the lessons of yesterday and the actions of tomorrow. Before you lay your head down to rest, take a moment to list your top 3 priorities for the next day, especially those that push you closer to building wealth. This simple act of purposeful planning is like planting seeds in fertile soil before the dawn. It creates clarity, focus, and momentum that carries you through the morning and beyond. You see, the mind doesn't just turn off at night, it continues to work quietly, setting the stage for what's to come. When you give your 24 hours a clear job to do before you sleep, you're not leaving success to chance, you're commanding it. In my early years, I often struggled with wandering mornings, feeling overwhelmed or uncertain about what to tackle first. It wasn't until I adopted this habit of nightly priority setting that I experienced a shift. Suddenly, my mornings had direction. Instead of reacting to distractions or urgent but unimportant tasks, I moved with purpose toward what mattered most. That's the secret wealthy people. Don't let their days get hijacked by random urgencies. They design their days with intention. This is about more than just making list sites, about committing to your own future success. When you take control the night before, you wake up empowered, clear, and ready to act. So tonight, before your eyes close, give your 24 hours a mission. Let it know exactly what you expect. The wealthy understand that success begins long before the sun rises. As we come to the close of our time together, I want you to really feel the weight of what's been shared, not as a fleeting inspiration, but as a call to transformation. Each of us has the same 24 hours. The same seconds ticking away, but it is how we use those moments that defines our future. Wealth, success, and growth are not gifts given to a fortunate few. They are the natural results of consistent, intentional action over time. The difference between those who prosper and those who simply survive lies in how they treat their time. It's about mastering the art of managing your most valuable asset, your day. Remember, the path to financial freedom doesn't start with luck or a windfall. It begins with a mindset-shifted decision to no longer drift aimlessly, but to chart your own course with deliberate steps. Start your mornings with intention. Protect your thinking time. Focus on high-value activities and invest in yourself relentlessly. These are the small disciplines that compound into extraordinary outcomes. You must see your time as currency, spending it wisely, investing it where it yields the greatest returns, whether that's learning a new skill, reflecting on your progress, or cultivating the right relationships. The journey won't always be easy. You will face distractions, doubts, and moments when the old habits of comfort try to pull you back. That's why the nightly ritual of planning tomorrow's priorities is so crucial. It anchors your commitment and gives your mind a clear mission to pursue. Reflection is your compass. Adjustment, your map. Without these, you're navigating blind, but with them, you steer with confidence and purpose. Now, it's time to take what you've learned and put it into practice immediately. Don't wait for the perfect day or a surge of motivation. That day is today. Tonight, write down your top 3 priorities for tomorrow. Wake up 30 minutes earlier to begin with, clarity and control. Identify one high-value skill to sharpen, and spend 30 focused minutes on it daily. Cut out distractions that don't serve your growth. Surround yourself with people who elevate your vision and hold you accountable. Success favors those who act, who refuse to settle for less than their potential. So rise to the challenge. Own your time. Design your day. Build your wealth. The seeds you plant now in your hours, your habits, and your mindset will yield a harvest beyond what you imagine. Remember, you are the architect of your life. Use your 24 hours the right way and watch how wealth, success, and growth become not just possibilities, but your inevitable reality.